Captain Thomas.
Detective Brown.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well, and especially well since I caught you.
You caught me.
That's right, on Friday.
Yes.
So how long have you been with JPD?
A total combined years of 23 years.
And what do you do here?
I am Captain Precinct 3 Patrol Operations.
All right. And so what is the what's your favorite thing about your job?
My favorite thing about my job is helping people.
This is Captain Jacquelyn Thomas of the Jackson Police Department in Mississippi. She was promoted to this rank, the second highest in the department, right under Deputy Chief, while defending herself in federal court. What was she defending?
Last week, a federal judge in Mississippi wrote an opinion finding a decades-old doctrine, which has been holding back meaningful police reform, is actually unlawful. This involves a case from 2020 where a Jackson, Mississippi police detective named Jacquelyn Thomas accused a man named Desmond Green of murder. All she presented as proof was the witness statement of a man who was under the influence of meth, and Detective Thomas also allegedly encouraged that witness to select Desmond Green from a lineup. Green always maintained his innocence. The witness later recanted his statement and admitted that he gave a false tip, hoping it might get him some sort of leniency for a separate crime. Local prosecutors dropped the charges against Green, but at that point, he had already spent nearly 2 years in jail. Last year, Green sued Detective Thomas, along with the city of Jackson and Hinds County, where he was incarcerated. However, Detective Thomas filed a motion to dismiss the case, invoking qualified immunity.
In evaluating qualified immunity, the court first examined whether it was clearly established that the detective couldn't do this. The question, of course, was not, was this wrong, but whether was it clearly established that fabricating evidence and framing someone for murder violates the Constitution. That question is why 95% of police misconduct lawsuits never reach trial. I'm going to show you exactly how this works. Qualified immunity is a legal doctrine created by courts, not Congress. Courts that say you can't sue government officials, including cops, unless they violated clearly established law. Here's what that means. You need to find a prior court case with nearly identical facts that already said this specific conduct was unconstitutional. If you are in a scenario or involved in an incident where a court has not ruled on it previously, your chances of overcoming qualified immunity are significantly diminished. And so you need to have a case where the court has previously ruled on the issue. And it's not just similar facts, not just the same general principle, nearly identical. So if there is a prior case on point, the Supreme Court has said that the prior case needs to place the question of conduct beyond debate, not just clearly wrong, but beyond debate. Courts have granted qualified immunity to officers who have shot a person who wasn't threatening anyone, who stole $225,000 while executing a search warrant, who sicked a police dog on a suspect who has surrendered, and many more. Why? Because there wasn't a prior case on point, with facts similar enough. This isn't me exaggerating. These are real cases, and this doctrine appears at every single stage of a lawsuit. When you sue police for violating your rights, here's what you face. 7 different stages. Qualified immunity raised at every single one. Let's start with stage 1, the motion to dismiss. Within weeks of filing the complaint, before the defendants even have to answer your lawsuit, they get to file a motion to dismiss raising qualified immunity. Essentially, they argue that even if everything the plaintiff says is true, they have no case. And the court must accept your facts as true and ask, was the law clearly established, or was the issue or conduct beyond debate, where the officer knew engaging in that conduct would have violated the plaintiff's constitutional rights? While the court is evaluating this motion to dismiss, plaintiffs generally are not permitted to get discovery. This means that the cases are frozen. Let's say that the court denies the motion to dismiss and concludes that the plaintiff has asserted enough facts to move forward to the next phase. Well, the defendants then get to appeal. This is step 2, the first appeal. And here's why this is unfair. You have to wait until the entire case is over. The defendant does not. The defendant has a right to appeal immediately on every single ruling that involves qualified immunity. And of course, just like before, your case is still frozen. There's no discovery, no depositions, no moving forward. You just wait. And while the cop or government official who violated your rights, they get to go on with their life. That appeal could take 1 to 2 years, sometimes longer. And that's exactly what happened to Desmond Green. In May 2024, Judge Carlton Reeves denied Detective Thomas's motion to dismiss. He wrote that Green's allegations defeated qualified immunity. And of course, she appealed. The case froze for another 10 months. 10 months where Green couldn't gather evidence, couldn't move forward, but just waited. So say that the appellate court upholds the denial of qualified immunity. Well, then you get to advance to stage 3, which is the discovery phase. This is where you get to finally gather evidence. Body camera footage, police reports, depositions. You also have to hire experts. You have to pay the court reporters to take these depositions. The cost? $50,000, $100,000, sometimes more. Money most people don't have for the privilege of proving that your rights were violated. The time? 6 to 12 months and sometimes longer. After the discovery phase, then the case advances to stage 4, the motion for summary judgment stage. So what happens after you spend all that time gathering evidence, hiring experts? Well, then the defendants get to move for a motion for summary judgment. Qualified immunity becomes the primary issue again. Cases die here too. Yes, even after spending all that money and all that time in developing your case. So what happens if you survive summary judgment? Well, they appeal again. The second appeal, another 1 to 2 years, and the case frozen again. So let's say you're lucky and you're able to overcome appeal at this stage. Well, then you advance to stage 6, trial. Only 3 to 5% of civil rights cases make it to this stage. 3 to 5%. You present evidence. The jury instructions explain qualified immunity. So even if the jury sides with you, the officer probably won't pay personally. The government indemnifies them. Taxpayers probably foot the bill. Total time at this point? 5 to 7 years, minimum. The total cost? $100,000, $200,000? It's really hard to say. Depends on the case, but it's substantial. But let's say you prevail at trial. Then you have to face another appeal where qualified immunity is going to be an issue. So for people who get to this stage, they have already defeated qualified immunity at the motion to dismiss stage, at the first appeal, at the motion for summary judgment stage, at the second appeal, at trial, and now again post-trial. Now let me show you what this looks like in practice. 2 different stories. Desmond Green, April 2020. A jailhouse informant, high on meth, gives a statement implicating Green in a murder. According to the informant's later sworn statement, he originally picked someone else from the photo lineup. But Detective Thomas pointed to Green's photo instead. There was evidence that the victim was alive and with someone else after being shot, contradicting the informant's story. Detective Green allegedly withheld this evidence from the grand jury. Fast forward to July 2020. Green is indicted for capital murder. He spends over 2 years in the Hinds County Detention Center for a murder he didn't commit, a murder that Detective Thomas allegedly knew he didn't commit. March 2022, the informant recants, says he was just high and trying to help himself get out of jail. says the detective wanted him to pick Green's photo. The criminal charges dismissed. Now we fast forward to February 2023. Green files his federal lawsuit. That was over 2 years ago. He's been fighting this entire time just to get through the preliminary stages. By this point, he has not even been able to get discovery. Now, let's talk about Detective Thomas. While Green sat in jail, Thomas continued her career. While the informant recanted, Thomas continued her career. While Green filed this lawsuit, Thomas continued her career. May 2024, Judge Reeves denied her motion to dismiss. And during this litigation, while defending herself against federal allegations of framing an innocent man, allegations that 2 federal courts said defeated qualified immunity, Detective Thomas was promoted to captain, second highest rank in the Jackson Police Department, one breath or retirement away from deputy chief. And according to public records, that promotion came with a salary increase of over $100,000 per year. And in February 2025, after both court rulings, while she was still defending against these allegations, still today, by the way, the police chief has publicly said this.
We have transcended a lot of the challenges that we had before, the adversities dealing with the community and the lack of trust.
Yes.
And it's shown in our crime numbers,
Yes.
which your numbers look good every single week.
Right.
You're almost to the point where you're eradicating crime in your precinct, which I'm very proud of that. But we're going to continue to work together with our business community, our community groups and organizations, and continue to commend our men and women for the hard work that they do every single day.
That's so true.
Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you,
And also, you're a shining star, and I see nothing but the sky's the limit for you as you continue your career here at JPD.
Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
A rising star who eradicates crime. She's being praised for eradicating crime while defending against allegations that she framed an innocent man for a crime he didn't commit. Desmond Green spent 2 years in jail for something he didn't do, for something that Detective and now Captain Thomas allegedly knows he didn't do. If these allegations are true, she didn't eradicate crime. She destroyed an innocent man's life while the actual murderer went free. One person spent 2 years in jail and then another 2 years fighting just to get discovery. The other got promoted, got a 6-figure raise, got praised as a rising star, and got the full backing of her department. That's not coincidence. That's the system working exactly as designed. And this is what happens when someone actually defeats qualified immunity. Green won, so far, twice. The district court, and then with the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. If this is what winning looks like, imagine what happens to everyone else. When we see these videos of police misconduct, people ask, why don't you just sue? Now you know why. Most people give up. They settle for pennies, thousands of dollars when they deserve millions. They can't afford to keep fighting. It requires time, patience, and money. And this is exactly what the system counts on. There's a case about a man in Texas who was housed in a cell covered in feces. When he originally sued, his claims were dismissed because of qualified immunity. It actually took the Supreme Court to allow him to move to the next step. The fight, 7 years, just to get discovery. 7 years. Qualified immunity wasn't passed by Congress. It was created by courts beginning in 1967, then transformed in 1982 into the clearly established law standard we have today. The Supreme Court keeps raising the bar for what counts as clearly established, which means fewer cases succeed, which means less accountability, which means the law never becomes clearly established because courts dismiss cases before they can establish it. It's a catch-22. Desmond Green had strong evidence, a recantation, proof that the detective manipulated the lineup and withheld favorable evidence. Both the district court and Fifth Circuit agreed that he defeated qualified immunity. But it took 2 years to get to that point. And now his case goes back for discovery, then potentially summary judgment, then potentially another appeal, then trial, and then another appeal. And let's not forget that he spent 2 years of his life in jail for a crime he didn't commit. He'll likely spend another 5 years fighting for justice, assuming the court system allows him to do so. More time in litigation than he spent behind bars. This is what happens when you win unqualified immunity. There is a bright line to this. Green's case is now cited as precedent. This means that future plaintiffs can now point to this case and say, see, a detective can't use a drug-induced informant and then fabricate evidence. That's clearly established law. Now, but it took Desmond Green sacrificing 2 years of his life behind jail and many more years fighting this in litigation just to establish that right for everyone else. That's the thing about qualified immunity. Someone has to be first. Someone has to fight it all the way through. And more often than not, the first person loses. And the problem, most people can't fight it all the way through. And you know what the real injustice is? The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. If you want a complete breakdown on how to sue bad cops and government officials, where I discuss every stage, every legal standard, every obstacle, I'm working on a deep dive. Just let me know in the comments what questions you have and I'll address them. And if this video helped you understand why accountability is so difficult, hit the like button so more people can see it. And subscribe because I break down legal issues like this, the ones that matter, the ones that you need to understand. I'm clearly established, and thank you for watching.